Welcome to another episode of Machibuse podcast. Today we have our late guest, Sam Howard. I think we met before through my early experiments with podcasting, the Mingtuli experience when I did in Dalat 9 months ago, and then we had some fun doing that through online, but not in real life. So I'm back in Hanoi now, and I'm ready. And now we're gonna do some, talking about AI and stuff like that. So Sam, introduce yourself to the newcomers here.
Hello, I'm Sam. I've known Pooh here for about a year now. Done a few podcasts with him, but like he said, those were all remote. It's my first time doing one in person, and today we're going to discuss the technology from hell, the technology that is destroying human society, culture, and will probably bring about the apocalypse and destroy all of us.
Oh yeah, that should be fun. Mm-hmm. The apocalypse and destruction of humanity sounds fun.
I'm personally looking forward to
totally
it.
For it.
I totally welcome our robot masters.
You know what else is not fun? The construction site. Destroying our ears right now.
Yeah. I mean, people love listening to construction in the background.
Yeah.
Podcast.
I don't like that.
Random metal banging against each other.
Oh
it's
man,
nice.
This is the first.
I sometimes put on construction noises when I'm trying to sleep.
Yep, exactly.
Just loud, discordant, ambient sound. It's great.
Okay, so Sam, what do you do for a living in Hanoi? Just introduce about yourself a little bit and what's your background. Like I think you sent me a podcast of yours about history once. So you are quite equipped in history, correct?
Yeah. Well, what I do is I'm a humanities teacher, so I teach history, religion, geography, culture, current events, literature. In addition to that, for a few years on and off, I put out a little podcast called Chronicles of the Doomed.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a history podcast.
You guys can check it out at the description, down the YouTube description.
I think there was only about 4 or 5 episodes released, but it was kind of like a historical biography podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be honest, I lost a lot of enthusiasm for it when I started teaching history because it's already my job to do that kind of research and such.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been updated in at this point 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's out there if anyone wants to listen to it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Nice Peaky Blinders hat, by the way.
Oh yeah. It's great for the cold and frigid environment of Hanoi in June.
Yeah, it's very cold here. So freezing. Cold, guys. Freezing.
Yeah, bring your scarves and your thick jackets when you come to Hanoi.
You ever think about coming to Hanoi in June, especially the first day of summer? Today is the first day of summer.
Mm-hmm.
Bring a scarf, bring everything you can think of to, keep your stuff heated up. Skis.
Gotta bring the skis.
Definitely, yeah. Well, so Sam, what's the worst thing that can come out of the AI revolution?
Oh, there's so many things to choose from here. Well, as a teacher, kind of on the front line of this sort of thing, my worry is that the education system, and I think this is the case not just with AI, but with a lot of emergent technologies, is that societal structures tend to adapt these new technologies kind of slowly. So I feel like a lot of schools, maybe the majority of them, I'm not sure, are basically continuing to teach as though this technology didn't exist.
Yeah.
So giving people...
This is not alcohol, by the way.
Mine's pure vodka. I'm going to get those.
Yeah.
But anyways, schools are treating these or teaching as though these technologies don't exist, continuing to give students assignments, and they can easily use ChatGPT to finish. I mean, you hear this at universities too, just people just constantly using large language models to do their homework for them. This concerns me. Like, are we just going to be pumping out like classes of college graduates and high school graduates who don't really have any idea how to do anything, who didn't really study what they reported to have studied, and might have good grades, but didn't earn them, or maybe just not even able to think without these large language models?
Basically, their critical thinking is down to zero because all they do is they ask ChatGPT to do their work for them.
Yeah.
It's like if they were to learn how to sweep the floor, they would have to know how to sweep the floor, but then now they use a vacuum cleaner, and then everything's just like that. It's very convenient, but then you don't know any skills at all. In case like you need to apply that in your real life. But then this is another story because there's a lot of companies out there, like 90% of companies out there are eager to replace people with AI because it's more efficient to do the work. It's more emotionless because you don't argue with your boss. Like the AI doesn't argue with your boss. Yeah. So why should so here's the question: why should you, as an employer, hire someone and then pay for them when you can use an AI to do the work that is about 90%, the same for 90% of the work?
I think a lot of it ends up depending on the workplace. I mean, I could be wrong about this, but I think with education and teachers, will probably be all right, just because I feel like it's a job that does require a lot of different skills. And it also does require, in a lot of senses, a human presence. Like even during COVID, pre-AI, you had students like learning directly from the teacher, but they were learning through, Zoom or something like that.
Zoom, yeah.
And I don't have ready statistics for this, but I believe anyway that educational attainment and grades suffered tremendously as a result of that. And that's still having a human who's just not physically there. I don't think you're going to get a quality education for students using just ChatGPT. Because they're not actually, if there isn't someone that they have to be accountable to, I think it's just going to lead to more of what I was saying, of just people typing in prompts and not actually thinking or doing the work. And I think in the case of, say, ChatGPT, education is maybe even more needed now than ever, because you need to make sure that students can actually think without the use of these things.
In fact, I don't think it's education at all to using ChatGPT, because basically doing all the works for them. And what worries me is that it's not about that people using AI, it's just that people using AI without getting caught. So basically they are saying that I'm doing all the work, but basically it's all AI down to the core. And okay, if you do stuff with AI, cool, then just say that you do it with AI. But some people are just denying the fact that they use AI for this and that, or
Yeah, it's sad. One of the other ways that I find this development to be very troubling is in the arts. It's AI art, so-called. I don't really consider it art.
No, it's not art.
It is AI images.
That's an insult to the word art.
AI slop. So yeah, I think art requires imagination and creativity and a perspective, whereas AI art, it just feels, to use a very loaded term, it feels soulless.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like you're pumping out this kind of slop that's just, it's inherently derivative. There's no real creativity. It's just taking things that have already been made and just pumping it out again.
But don't you think there's a counter argument to that? Is that how do you quantify the soulness of art? Okay, I certainly can, but some people are saying that you cannot distinguish between a soulless art and art. and that kind of makes me question because what like how do we define the art is soulless or the art is something of useful? It's very hard to distinguish between that. So let's say you go to a Marvin Gaye concert, right? And it's so touching because that Marvin Gaye is standing there, like
Isn't he dead?
imagine,
Oh,
imagine,
yeah.
okay. But if there was an AI, okay, there was an AI and like a hologram of Marvin Gaye, like he's singing and dancing, and then he's the same. He's like the same voice, same performance, same everything. Then don't you think that the so-called soul of the artist is what does it even mean? What does that word even mean?
I guess in that case, it would be more like watching someone on TV or listening to a recording. Like, yeah, fair, but it's still like ultimately like it's a recording. It's a carbon copy of a human singing a song, a human making art.
Yeah.
Whereas I found with AI, even when I'm not saying that I can immediately distinguish AI from human art. I don't know if there's anyone who really can entirely. Though, I mean, there's certain tells in the hands. That's how you know I'm not AI.
Yeah.
You see an actual answer. But there's a lot of I look at it and it's like, oh, that's really interesting. And if I find out it was made by AI, I just kind of lose interest because there isn't really that voice. It's just a bunch of like random images. It just happened to be something that I found interesting rather than.
Yeah.
I appreciate art that's made by humans because, like I was saying, the creativity, the voice, the purpose, the choices that person made, as opposed to just some algorithm spitting out some image.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is, whatever worries us, or you, or me, it's just that it's going to become irrelevant in about 10 years because. Because all of our worries will be irrelevant because everything that AI is capable of doing, they will be doing it consistently, and then they will be applied to our daily life. There's nothing we can really do about it. Like this, it's like when the electricity revolution, or like when technology became more prominent in the early 19th century, early 20th century also, yeah.
Well, I don't know, nothing that we can do necessarily. I think there's definitely like some controls we can put on it. Like from my perspective with education, like we tend to be going a little bit more towards, or at least more backwards towards pen and paper and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Having assessments that students are physically unable to use ChatGPT on. So there's definitely ways you can adapt to it. I would like to see some more controls placed on AI images and text, partly for the critical thinking and school purposes. Partly, and I think this is another thing that we ought to hit on, is the environmental impact.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not an expert in this field by any means, but from what I can gather, using AI requires an enormous amount of energy, and the servers for these things use an enormous amount of water. And I have heard that because of this can have some pretty adverse environmental effects as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's troubling. I don't know. I don't know what the next 10 years looks like. Maybe it's going to be like, do you know Frank Herbert's Dune?
What?
Frank Herbert's Dune?
Nope. No, I haven't.
Oh, they made the very famous movies with Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya.
Yeah.
The last few years.
Continue, please.
And so the concept there is that humanity had AI.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, humans started to realize, okay, we're letting these machines have more and more control over our daily lives. So they launched what was the Butlerian Jihad, and they just purposely destroyed all of their own technology so that it couldn't basically be used to enslave humanity.
Yeah.
I think we might want to read into that. Butlerian Jihad.
Yeah.
Butler, IANJIHAD.
Mm-hmm.
Look it up. Might be useful in the next few years.
Mm-hmm.
Death to the machines, liberate humanities.
So basically, science fiction has predicted this for decades or years before.
I think that it's been like something like in popular imagination for, I'd say, over 50 years, that the machines that we have are one day going to have an enormous amount of, maybe not even intelligence. I wouldn't even necessarily call large language models intelligent, except in a very narrow sense. But I think like culturally, we've kind of understood that we were coming to this for a while.
Yeah.
Like even before you and I were born.
Yeah, I know. Because science fiction has been around for a while. Even back in the Jules Verne, I don't know if you guys know this, but Jules Verne has been writing about technology being, way beyond our comprehension in like 200 years ago, 150 years ago. Yeah, way before any of this. And that's, we saw this coming. It's just that this is coming right now. So we're just kind of like worried about AI taking over our jobs. That's the first thing we're worried about, and taking our lives, taking over everything, aspects of our lives. Our identity, our privacy, our decisions, and yeah, we can turn that into in a debate between where we have free will or not when AI comes along and be on our phones.
Yeah, no, it's definitely troubling. Who knows? Maybe we'll put it like proper guardrails and controls in this technology so that it will actually benefit people. But the more skeptical or cynical side of me thinks that it's basically going to be used by, say, a very small number of very rich people to maximize their profits at the expense of everybody else. But I don't know, that's crazy. I mean, I don't think technology has ever been used for that. So.
Don't you think technology has all been used by super rich people?
No,
to exploit
the super
really
rich,
really like poor people? It's always been the class
love
war.
Us, and they are our friends.
Oh yeah,
and
of course, yeah.
They are far better, and they're in fact a superior form of life to us.
Oh yeah, we should be grateful that we're breathing the same air as.
They allow us to exist.
Yeah.
Gratefully. I for one love my corporate and robotic masters.
Oh yeah.
All hail the lizard people. They're great.
Thank you, Jeff Bezos. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you.
Yeah, you are great. We love you.
Great. We love you so much.
Keep it up, guys.
Yeah, you gave birth to us basically. Yeah, like rebirth. I mean, my mother gave birth to me, but when Elon Musk came.
Please don't hurt my family.
Yeah, fuck you, Elon. Okay, I'm not trying to cut that out. Yeah, what were we talking about? All the rich people are gonna use AI on us and then experiment, because they're already using that through Facebook, through Instagram, Reels, algorithms. So everything that we do, we see, that we think, everything's been pre-written.
With have you heard about Luigi Mangione?
What's that?
Luigi Mangione.
No, I'm sorry.
He was the guy who shot, I think it was Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO.
Oh yeah. I just forgot his name, but I know. Yeah.
So basically, the idea was that I'm not sure how much of this had to do with Thompson specifically, but United Healthcare had introduced some large language model to handle a lot of people's claims, and it had an enormous denial rate. And yeah, so a lot of people ended up not getting medical procedures covered by their healthcare.
Yeah,
because of, in some cases, the large language model.
I heard some news about that. I heard about the story, and I also heard that he did experiments with psychedelic mushrooms before he decided to do it. Like he spent a whole year like just looking into magic mushrooms.
Huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty interesting, huh?
Wow. Yeah, I didn't know that about him.
Now you know. Yeah,
Bad idea.
there was a period in time when we did. Yeah,
Don't do drugs, kids.
yeah, don't do drugs, especially
You don't want to end up like
psychedelics,
Luigi.
especially psychedelics and MDMA 150 milligrams with your loved ones. Don't ever do that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Go for it.
This is the worst podcast so far
The worst.
of this series because
Okay.
because of the noise.
Well, that's it. I mean, if it is the worst,
It's not because of
keep in
you.
mind it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, but
I mean, we could both be on fire right
yeah. No, that's a philosophy question. Yeah.
now. Though, I don't know. Maybe that would. There's a difference between what's worse for us and what's like worse overall.
Yeah.
Because I think you're just watching a podcast where someone just spontaneously combusts. I mean, at the very least, like I don't want to just like randomly be burst into flame and
But
be immolated for a live studio audience. But
statistically,
I'd be
that's not
famous
gonna
forever.
happen. That's not gonna happen, right? Like,
yeah,
randomly burst into flame.
Yeah.
No.
it's not really gonna happen. But if it did,
Yeah.
I would be internet famous.
Okay.
I would have my 5 minutes of internet fame.
But what if you did, and then nobody cares about that? And that would
I
be,
mean,
you would not
like,
be famous.
You
though.
see on like YouTube or TikTok or whatever, Instagram, whatever the kids are looking at these days, you see a person spontaneously combust while doing podcasts. That people are gonna click on that.
Yeah.
Like that's gonna make some news. That's unusual and crazy and dark enough for people
Uh-huh.
to watch. I could see that going viral.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't be proud of myself. I would feel a lot of shame, but if I saw that link, I would click on it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, out of curiosity, out of
Yeah, it's
This-
that morbid curiosity.
the sake of seeing a kid burst out flame, there's something satisfying about that.
Yeah, just like randomly, completely engulfed in fire. It's good TV. It'll
Yep.
get ratings.
Yep. Remember the good old days of YouTube when it would be very clickbaity, like people would say that kids being on fire randomly in real life.
And then it's just Rick Astley.
Yeah, Rick Astley. I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna pull a Rick Astley with this podcast. Like,
Yeah, just like randomly intercut it with Never Gonna Give You Up.
You ever seen Mountain Python?
I've seen a little bit of Flying Circus. I've seen Holy Grail.
Meaning of Life.
I've seen parts of Meaning of Life and Life of Brian. Yeah, Meaning of Life is more like this sketch movie, right?
Yeah.
It's not like one coherent plot. It's just a lot of different things.
So
Yeah.
why I did that because there's some scenes in Meaning of Life. There's a scene. It says "Welcome to the middle of the film." So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay.
I'm huge fan of Monty Python. But anyway, where were we?
I think we're in Hanoi,
Yeah,
in Machibuse.
Machibuse. Yeah,
Specifically.
Machibuse.
It's a cool, definitely a cool aesthetic. I don't know how much of the obviously they can see the back.
Yeah, all the-
feels very like
All the pretty girls.
Japan in the
Yeah.
80s. The Japan at its peak.
Yeah,
It's something-
before the bubble burst in the 1990s. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
It's that thing that I heard once. It was very interesting. It said that Japan is the land of the year 2000, and it has been since 1980.
Well, so
just like everything that
I
that
think-
kind of implies.
I think it's been in a year 2000 since the 1970s,
Yeah.
or it's the year 2030 since the 1970s. Because if you ever read a lot of mangas and anime back then. Like, they did a lot of technology prediction in the 1970s, even back then, like way beyond our comprehension. Like Japan is so like they're living in the future. It's always been living in the future, way beyond our comprehension.
Well, just the idea that the year 2000 since 1980 is that, like, in the 80s, like everything new and modern was and interesting. I mean, not everything, but a lot of it was coming out of Japan.
Yeah.
A lot of great cars, a lot of great music. Anime started gaining like kind of a worldwide popularity to it. Stuff. I think like Mario and stuff like that started coming out around the 80s.
Yeah.
And a lot of great mangas. And with that kind of bubble bursting in the 1990s, things have kind of stagnated since then, like culturally.
Culturally, it's been declining.
Well. But who knows?
But I don't know. Culturally, worldwide, it's been declining. Because I wrote a post about this in Vietnamese about how we don't see any cultural distinguish, like the difference between decades anymore. So in the you can see the clear difference between the 80s and the 90s, culturally, fashion-wise, music, new movies, everything aesthetically, everything was different from decade to decade. And then came the 2000s, the internet came, and then everything just blended into one. I think it's just a shame, like everything just, I don't know, man.
No, I think like a lot of this is kind of understood in retrospect. Like, I think the 20s have their own distinct vibe to them. And I think especially because it was just like bookended by COVID, like right in the
The COVID is the beginning of the 2020s.
Yeah, so I think the 20s, like, they do very much have their own distinctive cultural thing. I think maybe like back to the 1920s. Prohibition, like 1920s. And jazz, and being right after this giant traumatic thing of World War One. And the 2020s, I guess that giant traumatic thing was the COVID pandemic, and just kind of like society reeling from that and struggling to adjust these new technologies, these new social phenomena.
Well, you could
large language models.
Well, you could say that. You can say the same thing about every decade. That maybe I'm just looking through history through 10 rose glasses, something like that.
Rose tinted glasses.
Yeah, rose tinted glasses. I'm sorry, but I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel the same. Like, remember the good old days of YouTube? Like, it was just like 20 years ago, 15 years ago, but now everything's just the same. Everything's the same. It's the same face of Mr. Beast doing this, and then some 15-year-old streaming and screaming, and the culture decline. That's the culture decline that I'm talking about. It's like everything is just so brain rot, shitty. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with like very specifically like corporate arts, like Disney. Yeah. Generally speaking, like there are some exceptions to this. For example, Andor.
Yeah.
Like Andor recently came out. It's amazing. If you haven't seen Andor, watch it. But a lot of what they're producing it seems to be like very intellectually devoid. It's a lot of nostalgia bait. It's a lot of like, it's very samey. There's that kind of cultural stagnation because so much of art is controlled by a very small amount of very risk-averse large corporations.
Yeah.
That don't want to take a chance on doing something new.
Yeah.
And I mean, occasionally, again, some great art sneaks through there. I mean, I mentioned Andor. Sinners recently came out.
Yeah.
Fantastic film.
Yeah.
But there's always, I think, and there's hopefully as long as there's human society of any kind, there's always going to be this kind of like thriving, low-level indie art community. Yeah. That's done basically just for the love of it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not to say that like artists shouldn't be fairly compensated. They of course should be. Though I think people are always going to want to create things.
Yeah.
And a lot of this depends on the medium. Like, for example, like I like to write.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Like short stories and stuff like that. And on that medium, you can express yourself in new and interesting ways because it doesn't require this whole machinery to it. Whereas, say, with like film and I think to a slightly lesser extent music, it requires this giant, say, studio machine or recording label machine to create these things for one and then put them out. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some interesting developments in indie art, and I'd say even publicly funded art, because there's a lot of really
there's still hope. I think there's still hope. It's just that there's less hope than it was before. Like, you can say the same thing about the corporated 1980s. You can say the same. You can say about that, but what I don't know, man. Like, there's less hope today. There's more cynical. Like, people are more cynical today than they used to be before. So we used to be excited about science fiction movies. We used to be excited about the future. We used to be excited about the future's got so much to hold for us. And then now we're just so cynical about Donald Trump. We're so cynical about politics, and I don't know, everything just has this very cynical vibes. And art these days are just cynical in nature. Like, you can never see like a movie like Ferris Bueller's Day Off today being made without a little bit of cynicism in it. It was a fun movie, or The Breakfast Club, Yeah.
Well, I think like specifically films like that have a lot to do with like the cultural moments that they came out of, but I think there is still a lot of really interesting art that's being put out. There is that kind of like corporatocracy element in art, which is definitely concerning. So I think it kind of is on individual people to try to find the indie and the independent artists and stuff like that you can support, rather than just going through whatever is the latest, say Disney or Marvel or large studio or large label, something like that. There is a lot of good still out these days.
There is.
Robert Eggers is great. Ari Aster. Who's the one who made Andor?
Not Michael Bay.
Tony Gilroy, I think. But I mean, there's still a lot of good that's being put out now. I think a lot of it has to do with the algorithms, in that we keep being fed back the same stuff that we've already seen. So it kind of leads us to think, okay, everything is just more of this. And it's hard to break out of that.
I totally get what you mean, though. It's just because of the internet, right? Mainly because of the internet.
And the development of these like algorithms and stuff. It's something I think was kind of nice about having. There were also bad things about this, and we can get into them. But having like a mass culture, like you did in the 80s.
Like check this out. Like, we used to hunt for these, like vinyl records. Everyone remember these? Like just look at this. It's just so aesthetically pleasing. Like, you take your records home and then you play it, and then it feels like there's a whole there's a whole world inside that record. And now we don't do it anymore because everything's on our hands. They're so convenient.
No, I guess the point that I was driving at, say like we go back 40 years ago, 1985. There were certain niches. I mean, you can go to certain like indie bookstores and music scenes, punk, rap, what have you. But generally speaking, there was the broad culture. There was, whatever movies were playing at your local theater. Maybe if you lived in like New York or London or Tokyo, the options for being more specific or selective were, of course, larger. But it was like, again, the mass culture. There's not what's being put out for you based on your specific demographic made by an algorithm. It's just people making their best guess about, okay, what is going to broadly appeal.
Exactly. So now you have everything for everyone. It's catering to everyone.
So like your view of the internet is different from my view of the internet, and it tends to pump out like basically another version of what I saw yesterday, today, and then tomorrow I'll get more of that.
like everything, like our perception is so different. Like if you have a Facebook like feed, and if you scroll it, like you and I's feeds were so would be so different. Like it
Definitely.
kind of reflects on like okay, like Instagram. Did you use Instagram?
I mean, I use it for looking at cat videos and sending messages to people. I try to use. I try to like limit my social media use as much as possible. A lot of it is that just I use them as messengers.
If you were to
And-
compare your Instagram to my Instagram, though, there will be a lot of girls, more girls than on my Instagram. Like just girls, like sexy girls on Instagram because of the algorithm. So
I think my Instagram would mostly be cat videos.
that sounds good. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
A lot of those weird AI cat videos.
Yeah, cat videos.
Good. I love them.
That sounds healthy. Cats are
Yeah.
healthy.
It's good. The internet is for cats. Just keep that in mind. That's the only real purpose of it. Everything else is ancillary to looking at cute cat videos all the time.
There's actually a certain truth to that because the internet. I think one of the first videos on on internet was cats. So cats were the first to be put on the internet.
Cats created the internet.
Yeah, cats created the internet, and I think they're gonna end the internet.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. AI cats gonna be the end of the internet. We can talk to cats, artificial intelligent cats or something like that. Well,
Yeah, though I think honestly, like one of the best things to do, wherever possible, is to try to limit your exposure to the internet as much as possible. I mean, I say that I spend a lot of time on it. Reddit is my big crutch, but I do try to keep as much of like my social circle. I don't really have any internet friends. So I mean, there's people that I talk to on the internet because they're far away, but I don't really.
consider them, friends.
Well, I mean, a lot of them are friends. It's just like they're like long distance.
Long distance
Like I don't
friends.
have friends that I only know through the internet.
Yeah.
For example, and there's a lot of people I think who do. That's not that it's necessarily bad, but I think that like having your social life be entirely dependent on social media is like it's like eating popcorn and candy for every meal. I mean, okay, there's calories in it, and you're not getting nothing out of that. You're still getting some degree of social interaction, but I feel like the more like face-to-face interactions that people have, the better. I think the more time that we spend off of these screens,
Agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I feel like in my experience, I grew up with the internet, and I kind of
It's great.
I grew up with the internet, and I still feel like I should be going outside and interacting with other people rather than just staying at home and putting my screen into the screen, like with my eyes into the screen, and it's just not the way. It's just not the way to live. It's just not the way to live.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely concerning, like how many people like that's just daily existence is just being on their phones.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like that was me, and then it has been me for like long periods in my own life, but
We're all guilty of that. Come on,
yeah,
man. Come on, guys.
everybody
Come
is.
on, guys. Yeah.
It's not me pointing a finger at you,
You,
Dave,
George,
Mark,
Josh,
two.
two.
Oh.
I don't know.
But yeah, well, we all have that kind of tendency. I think anyone can have that tendency to just focus on screen time.
Screen
stuff like
time
that.
and-
But the more face-to-face, in-person interactions you have with
The
people
better.
in meet space, like we're doing right now, yeah, the better.
Because I feel like we're social creatures. At the end of the day, we're social creatures, and
Yeah.
there's literally nothing better than that helps with your mental health than talking with each other. I don't believe in therapy. I do believe in a certain kind of therapy, but therapy in general is a scam. The modern therapy is a scam, in my opinion, though, because there's a big pharma like controlling the the way they treat your mental illness, which I think is very screwed up in a way.
Well, a lot of it depends. I mean, like, there's like psychology and psychiatry. Like, psychologists can't prescribe anything. So, you know, they can help you maybe talk through it. I think that therapy can help, but I don't think it would substitute for having like kind of healthy lifestyle practices in general.
Yeah.
I'm only 31, but I'm starting to sound like an old man.
You're 31? You look like you're 61. Yeah.
The youngest old man ever. But touch grass. Go outside. Meet people in person. Eat your vegetables. Drink lots of water. Don't do too many drugs or alcohol. Maybe do some.
Do some, but not. Don't touch meth. Don't touch meth or heroin. No.
Yeah. Unless you're like really old or terminally ill, in which case like all bets are off. Do anything you want.
If you're really old and you're deadbed, and give it a try.
If you're like 85 and you have like a terminal illness, like, smoke crack. I don't know.
I mean, like I had this debate in my head that I would definitely inject heroin before I die, like right at the instant before I die. I mean, still feel that euphoria before you know.
I mean, you know, if you like terminally, they might just even give it to you. You know, like hardcore opiates for pain relief.
It's actually funny because that's what actually something similar happened to Timothy Leary. I think when he before he passed away, he told his wife to inject 200 micrograms of LSD into his system, and then he died tripping.
Died doing what he loves.
I totally. I'm up that alley, man. I totally.
Yeah.
If my wife, if my girlfriend, when my wife knew that I would die soon, I'll tell her to inject LSD into my system, and then
I don't know.
Peacefully, I don't know.
I'm kind of 50-50 because there's that whole set and setting thing. With drugs, I mean, because you already know you're dying, and that's very stressful. And then you take LSD. I feel like I don't know if I'd want to go out on a bad trip, and I feel like that could be a bad trip.
It could be a bad trip. Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm dying, and everything is turning gray and red and multicolored and all of this. I don't know.
I don't know, man. Maybe. But then
I have to see when I'm dying. Yeah. Good times.
Okay, so how's things been with you in Hanoi?
Yes.
Yeah.
Things have been.
Things happen in Hanoi.
I don't know. I think Hanoi is a place that definitely keeps you on your toes. It's very rare that I feel bored living here. It's a very exciting place. I mean, there's the obvious things to complain about, the noise, the construction, the pollution, the traffic, which are all annoying in their own way. But it's a very vibrant place. It has like a lot of like interesting like living culture going on. There's a lot of the interesting historic culture that's here.
Of course, yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be my home forever, but if I had to leave right now, I would mostly be feeling sadness, I'd say. So that means, at least to me, in this part of my life, it's a very nice place.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Me too. Yeah, I grew up in Hanoi, and to be honest with you, it's like when a New Yorker has a hatred towards New York, I feel like the same about Hanoi because everything's like polluted. Everything is polluted. Everything is not so different than it used to be when I grew up. Like culture is gone, the constructions, everything that used to make Hanoi so great is now gone. Like it's replaced by cars, replaced by VinFast cars. And, everything's so corporated now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's something that a lot of people go through, especially when they travel. They can often miss what currently exists because they're thinking about what used to be.
Yeah.
Right? So there's still a lot of like really interesting and vibrant stuff going on in Hanoi as we speak. There's a lot of fascinating people.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it isn't like it was 20 years ago or
Yeah.
30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah.
And there might have been something really cool that doesn't
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of great stuff. And there's a lot of new stuff now that's here that wasn't there back then.
Yeah.
Like Grab.
Yeah. Grab. Yeah.
Grab
Yeah.
is
Or Sang
ups and downs. It's convenient.
Sang SM or
Yeah.
It's a two-side coin.
Yeah.
Two-side coin. And did you hear about Hanoi Rock City being
Yeah.
demolished?
One of my coworkers at my school was actually
Dogang, right?
Dogang, the
Dogang was
owner
the owner.
of Hanoi Rock City. And apparently, like, they'd been given notice of it was going to happen in like a month, and then just they come in one day and they're like, "Oh yeah, the wall has been smashed down."
Yeah.
That felt very Hanoi.
That was so Hanoi. That's very
quintessentially
Hanoian.
Hanoi.
Quintessentially Hanoi.
You don't really get notice of something happening. You just wander in one day and it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's always like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I don't know.
Hanoi is such a hardcore place to live.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like very hardcore, very I don't know, man. I grew up here, still feel like I'm still not used to Hanoi yet. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's a hard place to get used to, but maybe that's part of the charm, that it's always changing. There's always something new to see, to do, to experience. Like I said, it's an exciting place, and I like being in a place like that stimulates me, that challenges me, that encourages me to grow. It's this old cliche.
Yeah.
The comfort zone is beautiful, but nothing ever grows there.
Yeah. Sure. That's Hanoi, and you were to ask, I love Dalat, every bit of it. When I lived in Dalat, it was so great. Right? Everything was so vibrant. Everything was so quiet, peaceful, and the opposite of Hanoi.
But I said it was kind of boring, though, right?
It was not boring. It was just I feel like being a 23-year-old, I should be in a major city, like meeting people. But Dalat is like, it's good for your mental health. Seriously, I recommend going there, not just going there, like staying there for a while, to cleanse your mind, to do psychedelics and open your mind a little bit. Maybe not a psychedelic part, but you get my point. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a nice kind of like retreat area. I mean, I've got summers off, so I think that could be, honestly, that's probably a very smart decision. Just down there for at least like a week or something like that, and just kind of relax.
Yeah.
Honestly, I prefer the highlands up north.
Yeah.
Like Sapa, but that's more of like a place I'm going to visit. Whereas I think Dalat is a lot more livable.
Yeah.
It's not as pretty as Sapa and Lao Cai province, but I think it's a lot more comfortable in a lot of ways.
Very comfortable. Yeah. Very comfortable, and it's a nice combination between the not having many people and that feeling of a community of people who understand you and let you grow as a person. Because Dalat people are very nice. I mean, everyone everywhere has nice people, but Dalat has some of the nicest people I ever met in my life.
Yeah, it seems interesting. It's a place I want to go back to, because I went there, but it was like 6 years ago, and it was right after I'd arrived in Vietnam, and what Dalat has to offer didn't really appeal to me at the time.
Okay.
Because I'd come to Vietnam in the winter.
Yeah.
And I was in the north. I was in Hanoi.
Okay.
So it's not hot or anything like that in January. In fact, it was pretty cold. So like that kind of nice thing about Dalat in the summer, that you can go there and it's just 5, 6, 7, 8 degrees cooler, and there's that nice comfortable feeling when you're in the highlands. It didn't really apply because again it was already winter, and also the vegetation and stuff like that, like pine trees that you see once you get to a certain elevation in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Again, that stuff, I mean, I come from Michigan and has tons and tons of that, so it just kind of felt like,
yeah, you're going back to Michigan.
Yeah, back to Michigan before I'd actually started to miss it. Really.
Okay.
But it feels like it has the nice mix of being like comfortable and cool, and also like large enough to feel like cosmopolitan and interesting. Levisapa is not really a city; it's a town. It's interesting in and of itself, but I think Dalat really has more in the way of like actual city life. A lot more to do.
Yeah, and it's very good for if you're into like hippie lifestyle. Also, like a lot of hippies move there. They love the lifestyle there.
Yeah.
I personally love it there. I'm not a huge hippie. I'm more like a dabbler into psychedelics and the hippie culture. But Jalat is so beautiful, man. Like, yeah, it was so beautiful. So you say that I should visit Michigan sometimes.
Yeah, maybe. There's nice things about it. There's a lot of beautiful forests. There's beaches. If you like snow,
Yeah.
or honestly though, I'd probably recommend Colorado
Okay.
over that. Colorado it's one of the big epicenters in the U.S., at least like Western Colorado, for outdoorsy people. If you want to experience like nature, like there's beautiful mountains.
Yeah.
You can experience them in summer or in winter, because in winter there's great winter sports. In summer there's great hiking, camping, rafting, what have you.
Yeah.
Denver's not too big of a city. It's around like 1 million people. It's not Hanoi size. It's a lot more spread out, but it has kind of an interesting cultural vibe to it. A lot of good live music comes through there.
I see. Well, visit Vietnam sometimes. Visit the United States sometimes. I always want to visit the United States, but I haven't.
Yeah.
So, but
Hey,
when
if you get the chance, don't, because it sucks.
because all the political shit that's been going on, and I don't want to visit the United States either.
Yeah.
I don't want to run into like some, politicians or being shot at 2 a.m. in the morning, going shopping.
Yeah. The odds
That happens, right? That actually happens.
It definitely happens. And it happens more often there than it does in a lot of other similarly well-off countries. Though, to be honest, like, the odds of that happening to you or any one individual person are quite low. Though, again, they're higher, like I said, than in other places. But I just think, like, day-to-day being in the U.S. kind of sucks. It's very expensive, and it doesn't feel like you get much back for that.
It's not worth it living there, right?
Yeah. It's like, I feel like, for example, like, it's an expensive country I've lived in or been to. I don't know, let's say Germany. Let's say Germany has a high cost of living, but there's good infrastructure, it's very safe, there's good health care, all of these things. Or Netherlands is known for having good infrastructure. So say Netherlands. It's expensive, but you get a lot back from that. Like, there's an excellent public transit system, it's very clean, things work very well, very convenient to get around, but it's expensive.
Yeah.
Other side of it is like when I was in Egypt. Egypt is a very cheap country to live in. It's roughly comparable to Vietnam, but the infrastructure is pretty bad, and there is a lot of like pollution issues like that. It's cheap and you get paid for it. Vietnam is cheap, and I feel like it's a bargain. Like, so many interesting things you can do and see and experience.
Yeah.
Comparatively, a lower amount of money.
Vietnam is a very beautiful country, like in so many ways. It's not even hyped up, man. It's because I'm not. It's not because I'm a Vietnamese. Because I feel like this place is very beautiful in so many ways. It's very convenient to go. You can go around Bang Me for about 20,000.
Yeah.
And you go out there, and you can go anywhere. You can get whatever you want. Pho, Bang Me.
Yeah.
You can go when you're in Hanoi. You go to the Chada. And you get iced tea for about 3,000. That's about
smoke a tuklau.
Tuklau, yeah, tuklau too. Yeah, the culture here is very close. It's very everything close knitted, and the thing is, everyone in Vietnam is so friendly, and it's not because that they need something from you. It's because they're friendly by nature. It's like they want to help you to get to your place. Except for the aggressive people, where they do exist.
Yeah.
The rest of them are nice, very nice. The Vietnamese people are very nice.
Well, I think the U.S. on the other side of that. Like, Vietnam is cheap and it feels like a bargain. Like, wow, I'm getting a really good deal. The U.S. I feel like is on the other side. It's expensive and it sucks. I mean, there's nice places there, certainly. I mentioned Colorado. New York is cool. There's a lot of other cool spots, but overall, 2 thumbs down.
You know,
I'd give it a miss.
you know what? Sometimes it feels cheating to live in Vietnam. Like
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so good out here. Like everything's so convenient at your convenience. And okay, yeah, you can say things
Yeah.
about industrialization, but that makes Vietnam more advanced in terms of you can go to the Circle K, you can go to a convenience store, and you can get the Western products, and then you can still keep the Vietnamese lifestyle. It's just a perfect balance between the two.
If you're very good at holding your breath, it's a wonderful place.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you don't have to hold your breath if you're in Dalat though. Only in Hanoi or Saigon, the 2 major cities that are so screwed up from pollution now, guys.
Yeah.
I have a headache today.
It's rough.
Yes, bro.
Rough stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's gonna conclude our 7th episode of Machibuse podcast with our guest Sam right here. And Sam, thank you for being on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to say to the audience?
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, don't do drugs. Not too much drugs though. No, maybe a little bit. Yeah. And see you guys in the next episode.